I'm heading to the Cloverdale Fairgrounds in Surrey, BC for an adventure riding training course. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that my adventure riding skills are not great. So I signed up for the adventure riding course from Pacific Riding School. It's not my goal for this video to teach anything from this course. I just want to share my experience and encourage you to take a course if you want to improve your adventure riding skills. There's nothing like having an instructor correct you on your technique as you ride. Last night we had a 3-hour classroom session on the theory of adventure riding, including some of the physics of balance, geometry, and traction that change when you leave the pavement. Come on along and see how things go for the all-day practical session. Upon arrival, the instructors checked our bikes for setup and helped people adjust their handlebars, hand controls, and foot controls. Our class of 12 consisted of 9 men and 3 women. One of the women had a first-generation Himalayan. People taking the course had the option of riding their own bikes or using a bike supplied by the school. The school had some DR650s, some BMW 310 GSs, and some Kawasaki 230s. A couple of students brought Honda CRF 300s, and of course I was riding my Himalayan 450. After an orientation, we headed up to a gravel parking lot where we spent most of the day doing progressively more difficult exercises. I use the word difficult in context. Most of the people in the course had never ridden off pavement in any substantial way. The instructors emphasized that this is kindergarten for adventure riding. It takes a long time and especially a lot of practice to gain skill in adventure riding. As they say, you have to walk before you run, and we started by walking beside our bikes with the motors off. This exercise helps us to establish the balance point of the motorcycle, and it emphasizes that it's balance, not strength, that keeps the bike upright. The next walking exercise was with the motor on and in first gear, which forced us to not only focus on balance, but also add clutch control. Finally, we were able to ride, which was up to a gravel parking lot and around a large oval. For many students, this was their first experience on gravel, even though they may have had many years of road riding. Some even had ridden track. But a loose surface is a whole new ballgame, where the biggest obstacle is your mind, which thinks the bike is going to slide out from under you at every turn. After riding in the circle a few times, we are encouraged to try standing on just one peg as we rode. This exercise helped us to get a sense of trust for the bike. Its weight and geometry means it wants to continue upright even when we're moving around on it. I'll admit that I found it a little challenging to swing my leg over the seat while the bike was in motion, first on one side and then on the other. Next, the instructors set up a series of cones to weave between. You can see an instructor encouraging us to exaggerate our body position to ensure we are using our feet on the pegs to tip the bike to steer. The cones stayed in place for most of the day, as many of the exercises took place heading in the opposite direction, and we weaved through the cones on the return. However, as the day went on, the cones were progressively staggered, so the effort of steering the bike with our feet increased. The ultimate goal of steering and weight management is being able to manage a tight 180-degree turn. This maneuver requires a big weight shift, 90% on the outside peg, with the outside leg coming forward while twisting the body and the head toward the exit point. Quite a few bikes got dropped in this exercise. After a few attempts, the instructors got us to stop our bikes and they helped us get a sense of the correct body position.
So stand up on your bike.
Side stand, on the side stand. On the side
Stay
stand.
on the side stand.
Stay on the side stand and stand up.
Okay, so we're gonna stand up and
Okay, give me the position.
left.
Okay, your knee, if you can, bring it and push against this. And don't take your weight off of there, because remember your weight's on this leg.
Right.
Okay?
So-
I want you to be able to almost lift your inside foot.
Right.
Right? Now the other thing I want you to do, put your head over here. Ah, there we go. Now,
Okay.
and that's good. Elbows up,
Yeah.
knees forward. Where are you looking?
Where I'm going, getting out.
Where's that?
The exit.
Where's that? Over there.
Over there. Oh, yeah, it's over
Turn your head
there.
all the way.
Right. Okay.
Okay, try that a couple times.
Even after that, I still struggled with this exercise.
It's scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. you're right over your seat,
Yeah.
and you're kind of going like this, like you're holding, you're hesitating instead of letting the body shift. Right? Let that body memory happen, and as the weight goes in, the bike goes over, and the turn just closes itself. It takes time.
Yeah.
Just keep working at it.
We also tried a 360-degree turn around a cone. During the final debrief, the instructors reminded us that this class is just kindergarten for off-road riding. If we were intermediate level riders, we would be doing these exercises easily. I felt more confident in the next exercise, which involved locking the rear. On a loose surface, braking is assisted by the buildup of debris below the rear tire as it skids. Moreover, gaining a sense of confidence as the bike moves below you is a fundamental building block for later skills that we did not address in this class. After skidding the rear, we learned the feeling of locking the front. The point is that most of the braking power in the bike is in the front wheel, and you need it, even on steep, loose descents. The key skill is to feel where the front begins to lock and learn to release it before it skids. I've done this many times, and I even practiced the week before the course, but I still found it challenging to perform under observation.
Breathe in and hold it. Don't pulse it. Breathe in and hold it till you hear it, and then let it go. Yeah, don't pulse it.
Finally, we were ready for some off-road riding. That's kind of a joke because we were just going up a little path to a grassy spot, but it will satisfy the people who strictly believe that off-road only includes trails that have never been roads. The point of this little excursion was to practice engaging the compression zone at the beginning of a hill, which is the place where you can attain maximum traction. Although this rise was small, I'm not going to lie and say that the camera flattens it. This was a small uphill. The principle is the same. The first time we rode without engaging the compression zone. Afterwards, we tried it with compression. Then we got some instruction on how to improve our technique.
Okay, how was that?
Kind of fun.
Okay, that was easy, huh? How's your timing?
Bad.
Bad. Me too. Me too. It takes practice. Yes. Okay. To help you for your timing, I'm gonna break it apart. Okay. When you're going this direction, up and around and coming back, I have an exercise. It's called glumping. Glumping is creating the compression zone and going, brup. You're just making it for practice. There's not really any purpose there, but it gets you the timing of your throttle and your weight, yeah? So when you're going around here, I should hear, brup, brup, brup. Get that timing all the way there, all the way back. Then when you go up the hill, it's the same thing. Now you're just timing it to the hill, but you have this timing already done.
This was followed by more practice. On the downhill, we also practiced shifting our weight toward the rear of the bike. Having completed these exercises, we moved toward the final skills of the day: cross beams, log crossing, and the beam of death. Shifting to another parking lot, the instructors had set up a contraption with several beams running across our path. On the first pass, we were encouraged to just let the bike's suspension absorb the impact. That helped build confidence that no matter how bad our technique, the bike could still manage the crossing. On subsequent passes, we were trying to engage the compression zone with extra throttle to lift the front wheel, not wheelie, slightly, to help the bike up and over the obstacle. As with most of these exercises, timing is everything. What I discovered was that if I was hovering over the clutch while blipping the throttle, I tended to pull in the clutch, negating any benefit of adding throttle. Activating the right hand while releasing the left is a bit of coordination that I need to work on. I found that I could mostly leave the clutch alone since we were just cruising in first gear. However, that ended up causing a stall when the instructor paused me to adjust the beams. The next crossing involved a small log. This log has been run over by so many bikes that it has a low spot worn in the middle. Nonetheless, it was a bit intimidating for some. When I took this course a few years ago, my memory was of a much bigger log, and I've crossed similar logs on various adventure rides since then, so I didn't feel intimidated. However, my skill and timing for engaging the compression zone, along with blipping the clutch, still leave room for improvement. Finally, we are ready for the final test, the beam of death. That's a joke, of course. This 8-inch wide beam tests our skills in keeping our head up and controlling the bike with our feet. The key is to get on the beam, focus on the exit, and then focus on the horizon straight ahead. If your body and head are correctly aligned, the bike will follow you to the end of the beam. If you come off the beam, beware, because the bike can't easily get back on, and that's a recipe for dropping the bike. When I took this course a few years ago, I was unable to complete the beam of death in my 3 tries on my Africa Twin. This year I made it 2 of 3 tries on my Himalayan. That completed the day's activities, and I was beat. Wearing full gear in the sun along with continuous practice was exhausting. Of course, we had a few rest periods and lunch, plus we were continually supplied with water to rehydrate. After a final debrief, I was on my way home for a well-earned rest. If you're interested in adventure riding, stick with me for future videos. I'll be relying on these skills in some upcoming adventures, including the Gold River Roadbook Rally and a solo Chilcotin adventure ride. Plus, a special to-be-announced trip in June. See you later.